Okay, good morning, class. Now, today what we are actually going to do is we are going to start with Unit 2, the first part, right, which is literature review and the research problems that we have. Okay, so what we're going to do is let me first tell you about the structure. Okay, the structure, the first part is like the entire thing, like what we have in unit 1. What we had actually studied was introduction, that is meaning of research and project, and then we discussed about the purpose and objectives of applied research and business project, differences and similarities between business project and applied research which you've done as an activity, types and process followed in applied research and project, and criteria of a good research and project, again which you have done as an activity, followed by role of scientific methods and ethical issues in research and project. This is what you all had done. So now in unit 2, which is literature review and problem, it's divided into 3 parts. Okay, so the first part is basically where we are talking about how to collect information and about organization using internal and external reports and report writing. Based on that, how to go about the report writing. Second part is talking about the literature review, and the third part talks about problem or opportunity identification. So we're just going to start with the first part, collecting information about organization. Right now, before undertaking any project, it's very essential for anyone to know about the client organization. You should know about your client organization. Like, information about the organization is required. Why? Because it will help in determining the problem that the organization is facing or the opportunities that the organization can make use of. It's very much important to know. Then only can you find out what is the problem or the opportunities that's up there. And this information can be collected how? Through the use of reports and documents, which is created by the organization, that is internal reports, or if there are some external report that is which is created by an agency which is external to the organization. And so which is created by the organization is called internal reports, which is created by agencies which are external to the organization are external reports. Now, internal reports and documents is basically which is prepared by someone who's working for the organization, and these reports are prepared as part of the routine work. So these are like the policy documents, the memos, minutes, the reports, annual reports, financial statements, and so on and so forth. External reports, on the other hand, these are documents which is prepared by all those who are external to the organizations. It could be government reports, some of the expert reports that we have. These are the ones which is there. Okay, now the next thing that comes up is significance of analyzing the organizational activities and reports. Now, what happens like when you actually analyze these reports and the activities, or how would it help you? It helps you in understanding the mission and vision of the organization. It helps in understanding the strategies that the organization is following. Those strategies are never revealed. It helps in identifying the strengths and weaknesses of the organization. We get to know about the organization's competitors, the activities that the organization is following. We can identify the patterns and the trends in the activities that is being followed, who are the key partners and the stakeholders of the organization, what are the future goals, problems and opportunities of the organization, and determine the causes of the problem. It also helps. All the when you analyze the reports and the activities, it helps us. Okay, now how to analyze and evaluate the documents and the document readings. That's the thing we are talking of analyzing. How? First way is reading. Reading, there's a method which is called scan, skim, and understand. So to know more about it, you have this. If you click on this, this is the web link which is given. If you go to this website, you will get to know more about it. But in brief, scanning and skimming and scanning, these are reading techniques which where you read it use rapid eye movement. So you just go through it quickly and find out the keywords for the rest of the for the text for different purposes. Now skimming is when you're reading rapidly to get a general overview of the material, whereas scanning is again reading quite rapidly but to find specific facts. Skimming is overall, scanning is some specific facts. Skimming tells you what general about the general information within a particular section, but scanning tells you to locate a particular fact. Okay, so use skimming in previewing. That is, previewing means reading before you actually read, just to have a preview of it. You can use skimming for reviewing. That is, reading after you read. You have a quick review once you have read it, to determine the main idea from a long section which you don't want to read. What is the main thing? Or when trying to find out the source material for a research paper. That's when skimming is used. Whereas scanning is used to find particular facts, to study fact heavy topics, like it's concentrating on certain topics which are where you need to find facts regarding a particular topic, and where you need to answer questions requiring factual support when you need evidence. So this is what scanning is. So this is where the first technique comes up, is read. The second is to take notes and make key observation, and the third is to summarize. So let's go into a little more details of it. Reading, that's the first one. So what happens when we are reading reports? What do? We examine or analyze the purpose and objectives of the report. You first need to know what is the purpose of preparing that report, why was it prepared, what's the objective. You need to evaluate or critique the purpose, objectives, and findings. Critically evaluate it. Okay, look into from all the different aspects to see it, and from then you have to establish relationships, patterns, and trends, and how they are related. All these are the findings that you're getting it, to develop relationships. How are they related? What is the general trend, the pattern, and you need to find out there. Compare and contrast the findings of the reports with that of similar works which has been there, and to find out the gap or similarities. What is the gap which is there? What is the similarity between these reports, or what is the gap? Where lies the gap between the report of this particular organization and the others, if there is any? And then look for evidence and support on which the report is written and the conclusion drawn. Report should have some facts, some evidence, so you need to look for it, and then from there you can draw your conclusion. So that's the first technique that we said. Second technique we said is from notes to writing. So as you reading, while you're reading, identify any keywords, patterns, or observations. Then identify the key findings and observations, and identify key themes and look for evidence. So this is how you should do when you're reading it. Main areas, main findings, main words, main themes, evidence, and then you make a note of it. And the third thing that comes up is summarizing and report writing. So the reports can be summarized to explain in brief the key findings, key observations made from various reports. So you need to read all the reports, and then you come up with all the key findings, observations, and you summarize in brief and then write it. And these observations that you are making would actually help in highlighting the areas of problems or opportunities. When you make these report, when you're writing it down, that from there you can find out from what are the probable problems or the opportunities that the organization is facing. And all the evidence that is collected should be summarized. Why? For highlighting the problem or the opportunity statements. You have to come up with your problem or opportunity statement for that organization which you're doing, where you're doing a project. So based on which you actually go with for the next steps. So next comes up is framing the problem opportunity statements and problem project objectives. So after you have read, Then that's when you have to frame your problem or opportunity statements and the project objectives. So after reading through all the documents and meeting the various stakeholders, you should have to do this first. Then you will have a clear idea about the problem, its causes, its impact on the organization, and its stakeholders. And all these necessary evidence which is supporting the claims should be laid out very clearly. Everything should be clearly spelled out. And a clear understanding of the problem of the organization will help any will help you going in the required direction, will show you the path how to go about, and how with regards to framing of the problem statement, opportunity statement, and project objectives. So when you analyze all these documents, when you have an interaction with the various stakeholders, you talk, and that all the evidence that is there, from there you can understand what the problem is, or what the opportunities are coming, or the objectives, and that's how you frame your research problem. It could be problem statement or opportunity statement or objectives. And so this will also help you in determining the scope of the project. What is the scope, like whether there you have an ample scope to solve it, or whether there's not much that you can do. It helps in finding the required solution, and also the success criteria that can be used for planning the successful implementation of the project. You can find out the scope of the project, you can find out the required solution of the problem, or you can find out the success criteria, which if implemented in the project will bring about success. Okay, so analyzing techniques. So what are the various techniques that we have when you're using it? These are some of the techniques. So as we study more about the problem, its causes, and upcoming opportunities, we must set our focus in determining the real cause of the problem. You need to find out what is the actual cause of that problem. So some of the popular tools that we have is root case analysis, or root cause analysis, as we say. So it's an approach for identifying the underlying causes of an incident, so that the most effective solution can be identified and can be implemented. There are a lot of solutions, but which is the most effective, that needs to identify and implement it. And it's basically more generally it's used when something goes bad, something goes wrong, something is going bad, but it can also be used when something goes well. So within an organization, problem solving, incident investigation, and root cause analysis are all fundamentally connected by three problems. What's the problem? Why did it happen? And what will be done to prevent it from happening again? The three things. What's the problem? Why? Cause? And what can be done to prevent it? Okay. The next technique is 5 why technique. So 5 why technique, it's why, right? So it's a method of asking why ample number of times until you get past all the symptoms of a problem and come down to the root cause. What's the main cause? So you start asking continuously why this happened, then but why? Okay, this is then why. So go on asking till you find the root cause. And there are 4 key elements which can be used for in this case to make the 5 why techniques very effective. That is, first is to get an accurate and complete statement of the problem, asking the right question, that is important, complete honesty in answering the questions. Person who's answering this has to be clearly honest, right? And the determination to get to the bottom of the problem and resolve it. You should be very much focused that you have to go to the main cause of it. You have to go just to the bottom of the problem, and then find out. Third is benchmarking. So it's a process of measuring the performance of a company's products, services, or processes, and measuring against what? Measuring against another business which is considered to be the best in the industry. So you compare the company's products, services, or process, how are they doing it, with the best in the market, in that industry, which is the best. Compare it, right? Why do we compare? Because to identify the internal opportunities, what is there, which is for improvement, so that what measures can be taken so that this particular company under observation can improve. The last method that we have is SWOT, that is where S stands for strengths, W for weakness, O for opportunity, and T for threats. So it's a framework which is used to analyze a company's competitive positions and to develop strategic planning. Competitive position and develop. So it assesses the internal and external factors, as well as the current and future potential. So internal environment is when we talk of strengths and weaknesses of the company, and external environment talks of the opportunities and threats. So we are analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of company. What is the strength, and what are the areas where the company is weak, lacking behind, where it needs improvement, and so that they can actually capitalize on the opportunities that is there and overcome the threats which is there. This is what SWOT analysis. So you had already studied this in your analytical skills module, right? Now, based on this, you will actually do your first assessment, that is critical literature review. Okay, so that's all that we have from here. See you in the next class.